Huge news again today, breaking. President Donald Trump is furious over Vince Foster case. Fires director on the spot. This is Conservative Army reporting. We know that the body of Vince Foster, who died supposedly by suicide with 2 bullets in the back of his head 23 years ago, was exhumed. The body was exhumed with the order of Trey Gowdy. He requested an order to be given by a federal judge, and the order was given. The body was exhumed, and the autopsy changed the cause of death from suicide to homicide. 2 bullets in the back of the head. Okay, well, let's say for hypothesis' sake that he put the first one in the back of his head. There was no way he could have committed suicide doing the second bullet in the back of the head. Therefore, it was a homicide. And the cause of death has been changed. So when word got to the President Trump, that FBI Director James Comey dropped the ball on what should be a slam dunk against the Clinton regime, he had all he could take. He marched personally into the Hoover Building, demanded a meeting with James Comey, and asked to be shown to the Forensic Evidence Department. When they got there, according to a source inside the White House, President Trump wanted answers on how the agency's top-rated forensics team could have possibly not performed the test necessary to complete a study on Vince Foster's exhumed body. The bullets, which could possibly have been tied to the Clintons, were never recovered from the body, recovered before the body was stolen from the Naval Hospital at Norfolk. The body was stolen. Well, we wonder why it was stolen. It was stolen so that something could be done to it. Perhaps the bullets removed? Investigators now believe that the body was inside the ambulance found on fire in a parking lot just a few miles away, but that it is now completely useless as evidence. This is amazingly absurd. An ambulance found on fire with the body inside, a few miles away. Now, obviously, someone is tampering with evidence here, for obvious reasons. President Trump was so livid that he fired the FBI Director of Forensics Evidence on the spot and issued a final warning to James Comey. He says, either put crooked Hillary away for good, or you'll be the one looking for a new job, end quote. Either put crooked Hillary away for good, or you'll be the one looking for a new job. The fired director, Edward Wheaton, apologized to his colleagues and the American people in a statement. This is by Read Conservatives on USA Politics Today. This is astonishingly terrible. Terrible. Obviously, the Clintons are being pointed to here by this dead exhumed body. And now that the ambulance is on fire with the dead exhumed body, the evidence now gone. This is beyond surreal. What can I say? There are still people that want Hillary in power for some odd reason. Maybe they're just brain dead, these people. I have no idea. Anyway, this is on USA Politics Today.
Ladies and gentlemen, fellow Americans, and everybody who is following this program, my name is Vuk Jovanovic. I'm an investigative reporter from Serbia, Belgrade, Serbia. And I will tell you today something which is very, very important, and I will address my message to, first of all, to President Trump, and also the person who knows about what I'm talking today, American ambassador in Serbia, Mr. Scott. Mr. Scott has full knowledge that I am trying over a year to convince some people in the United States to give this information to President Trump because of the election time. Namely, I believe that you Americans are very happy, and I explain you why, that Mr. Trump won this election. I also said to Mr. Scott that I'm absolutely sure that Mr. Trump will win this election, and I was happy. And I explain you today why is that so important. You see, people say, how come that somebody who is not from the United States, who is from Serbia, country where they were bombarded by Americans, it's relatively now, maybe one day we will come out with all this secret, why was bombarded, what was the motive behind that, what was the motive somebody wants to hide an affair with Monica Lewinsky, and then they find out something that was done in a beautiful film that I like and you like very much, probably the whole movie by the name, the famous movie with Dustin Hoffman and Robert De Niro, Wag the Dog, how you can manipulate the people, you can manipulate the wars and everything else. But I will not just point out how come that the investigative reporter from Serbia will be able to give you a lesson and to just say that I have more information than most of you, and even President Trump. I was very lucky in a way, except I met American patriots because they loved my films. I did some documentary films which was very popular in the United States. I made movies that was absolutely the most popular film about experiments on humans, MK Ultra. And I was very proud that my film was shown to the Justice Department, and that my people from Justice Department who are Jews helped the victim of that program, and they found a solution how to save her. Her name was Kelly Cox, and people they give me this information, American patriots, Kathy O'Brien, a victim of this horrible program, MK Ultra Monarch, experiment on humans, and Mr. The other gentleman who discovered her and who really helped her very much, and he gave me the whole story. He's insider, Mark Phillips. Mark Phillips was insider who worked for the Department of Defense, and who gave me as insider the whole story. And this story was shown to Justice Department, and voila, my first film was happy ended. And everybody loved this in American Patriots. They also loved my film about false flag terrorism in Serbia, in Markala, in Sarajevo, and Bosnia. And even I was very proud to say that I was able to reach my hero in journalism, who I admire, like many others, who was producer of famous 60 Minutes, Don Hewitt, late Don Hewitt, and also today's producer of 60 Minutes, Jeff Fager. My film was real. They found that everything is all right, but they just want to know, to meet, they want to check out my story by director of CIA, they call them, and Mr. Kemal came back, Don Hewitt, and he said, sorry, Mr. Jovanovic, our boss said that your story is right, this excellent market case is done by the Muslim, but I'm not able to play your film because I'm not allowed. Anyhow, this is one part of the story, just to explain you how it looks like that the CIA is determining what to be played on American television. It's irrelevant if it's true or not. It's irrelevant if 1,000 people died. It's irrelevant that people bombard the country, they put some uranium-235. Everything is absolutely irrelevant. Everything is in the hand of Bill Clinton in that case. But this time, it's like a destiny. That I was in Las Vegas working, at the time, filmmaker. I'm also a businessman. I was working on some big projects in Government of Malta, my own project. I found some area in Malta that could be suitable for one 500 to 1,000 room hotels like you can see in Las Vegas. So I went to Las Vegas to find an investor, and I met coincidentally famous American patriots. I'm going to show you once. One was the very dear man who was an American patriot that I met in Las Vegas. His name is Ted. His name is Lou Apton. Now we're going to play. We're going to play now Lou Apton, about Lou Apton right now. A segment about 2 minutes, and then you will see also the person who is the most informative person in whole United States, and he brought me all this. What he knows, he brought me this huge knowledge. That's why I'm able to say very proud that I know more than 99% of American people, even American officer of FBI, because my person who was giving me all this information, with whom I spent 5 years, we was in the same compound in Las Vegas. He gave me all this information. Ted Garrison is a person who was a person who knows everything. He was director of FBI, and just because of he was very disappointed with the fact that Satanism is a growing religion in the United States. The laws are protecting them. He spent the last 20 years of his life to work on them, and he gave me a lot of information possible.
And ladies and gentlemen, I have a special honor to present you gentlemen who will be running for the President of the United States, distinguished gentleman, former FBI director in 5 states of the United States, and Mr. Ted Garrison.
Thank you very much. And I certainly appreciate the opportunity of appearing here today, this evening. Mr. Yovanovitch, it's a real pleasure. I remember to this day when you called me on the phone and started just raising hell about what was going on over in the Balkans. And to be honest with you, I was quite an ignorant individual. I didn't know exactly what you were talking about. I was one of those people that the professors saying you don't know until you send the American troops over just exactly what is going on. But it's a real pleasure to be here tonight. I hate to bend over like this. Real pleasure to be here tonight and speak at this distinguished table with all these distinguished gentlemen and American heroes. My brother was shot down on the 24 over Germany in August 1944, and your comments, Major Feldman, mean a lot to me, and I'd like to personally contribute to your campaign to erect this monument for the general. And Professor Hatchett, I certainly enjoyed your comments. Thank you. And for Dr. Stepanovich, thank you very much, sir. And for Mr. Illich, thank you, sir, for your comments.
Oh, we're talking about explaining now. You see now people that give me information. Lou Apton introduced me to the source, who knows absolutely everything about suicide of Mr. Vince Foster. I know that Mr. Trump make scene and went to FBI, and he just fired Mr. Comey because of the fact that nothing was done about this affair. It was a joke. Everything was there. It's cover up, and first time in history of the United States that one federal case was not conducted by FBI, which was for so many years and even today, but it was not conducted by Park Police. At the time, director of FBI resigned, although officially said that Mr. Clinton fired him. It's not true. He resigned by himself. And as I said, now I'm speaking to you now to explain you how this story all happened. Namely, Vince Foster he got the information from Hillary Clinton. My source, who is very similar to the person who is a big senator and a very famous magazine owner, is very the same, and that's why I'll be able, as I wrote 4 times to American ambassador, I'm ready to testify in U.S. Congress or Senate, wherever, and I would like to address my message to Mr. Trump. Not because of that, because of the fact that I'm absolutely for him, and I'm very happy that he won the election, and I'm happy to know his family, even from middle of '80s. We met in Saint-Maurice, Switzerland. I was skiing together in the same hotel with Ivana, she was the queen of snow. And at the time I was playing tennis, and I was showing my art collection at hotel, so I was able to meet most famous people in the world, including Trump's. But the main thing is that I also met Ivana's best friend. She introduced me to her best friend, Vivian Sirota, and I moved from Düsseldorf, from Germany. I moved to the United States, and I lived in New York in Trump Park for years. And I was 2 years together with Vivian Sirota. And that's why when I learned that, with all this knowledge, as I said, that I know about this event, how Vince Foster was suicided, he was killed by the CIA, he was dropped on a park, and we know now. This part of the story we know, but not the rest, the most important one. I had to explain now everything, like I always speak in the Senate or Congress. I'll tell you now exactly the way how I will do it if I will be invited, as I want, to speak in front of the Congress or Senate. I started calling my friends from the United States because I was in Belgrade. I had accidents. At the time, 4 years, I'm not able to walk. I was in a wheelchair, and I was not able to fly to the United States to help Donald Trump in his election. So I started calling first Vivian Sirota, and first I called my dear princess. We have the most beautiful princess in the world, Elizabeth of Yugoslavia. She was her daughter was a famous actor who played in this dynasty, and she's also femme fatale. She was with the most famous actor. He was in competition with Liz Taylor, with Richard Barton. So she was the one that I called first, because she was introduced to me to Vivian Sirota, and I wanted to find Vivian, and then through Vivian to find Ivana, and to Ivana to get to her son Eric or David, or at least to come to Donald. I know that in the time when I was associating with them, there was this big marriage was divorcing. I remember Marla was living at the time in the hotel St. Moritz, and everybody was very unhappy. But I just wanted to get in touch with them because I want to show them that I want to participate, because I have some secrets. The secret is that Hillary Clinton is the biggest spy in the history of the United States. There is no such person who was selling her the most famous secrets. I just call the secret Graal espionage. And as a matter of fact, the part of Hillary Clinton was pointing out that Donald is not capable, because of his temper, to keep this box, and especially this button, which is very important. And in this button is the secret of what I'm telling you right now. Namely, that Hillary Clinton sold the code, gentlemen, the code, how the President Trump, how you, Donald, are identifying yourself in case of war. Could you imagine today, gentlemen, that you're having almost a war with this North Korean president, who is, we know who is he, and could you imagine the advantage that somebody has the code, how you identify yourself. You see how many advantages you have by having this code. If President of Korea is pressing this button and you have the code, and you know exactly when he's about to start with this setting the bomb, because I'm almost convinced that he can reach the United States and he may damage this country. And this is a big trap, and people should be very careful about this. That's why I'm speaking now about the possibility to testify. Now, it's not only that they've been that she was selling this couple was doing Vince Foster, who was her lover, and he was the very highest was friend of President Clinton, and he was the highest politician who was murdered and who was supposedly suicided. Now, when you, Donald, went to FBI, you found out that there was a mess. Then you fired Comey and the other person on the spot, and you have to do that because that was cover up. They made everything possible to make this murder looking like suicide. And you could imagine there was 2 bullets in his head. You could imagine somebody doing suicide and using 2 bullets. But as I said, I have the right story. I know exactly from number one, gentlemen, number one source in this case, who was once in Las Vegas, and I met through Lou Apton. He introduced me, and this person told us everything. And then after that, he was totally silent. That's why I would very much like to introduce this source to American people, to Donald, and then we start investigation, and full investigation. Not only a couple of, you see, you have a lot of material, and it looks like very normal that Mr. Clinton and Hillary Clinton are killing everybody who is staying on their way. If somebody is investigating their pedophilia or any case, this person is dead. CIA kill him. Or there's about 13 different murders, like people who were Mr. Brown, who was the economic minister. He was killing everybody, and people, it's like normal. I mean, how come that in your country, United States, you have an FBI office, you have everything else, that they're able to kill literally everybody, and nobody, it looks like a normal way of business. They're killing people and nobody cares. And we have a huge list of people, and simply nobody cares about that. That they have to be investigated entirely. Not only this case, but all other cases has to be completely taken care of. So that's why, ladies and gentlemen, I'm announcing that I'm ready to give authorities, and maybe I would like, for the first time, as I wrote in a letter to Ambassador, I wrote a letter to Mr. President. I have sent you, Donald, the letter to White House, and my friend will be personally delivering you, because we all know in the world that it's horrible to say that whole system is against you, because you brought something nobody expected you to be the winner of this election, and that's why you completely changed the face of America. You gave the people hope. You start fighting these corporations, and then you just say you've been going to the airport to other countries, and they look very nice, fashionable, and airports in America looks now like a third world country, and it's a fact. You see the bridges, you see the roads, and everything else. You just change the whole melody, and nobody likes that. That's why I'm not sure if my letter will be sent to your office that you will receive it, because there is so many people they will take advantage and maybe not giving the letters. And that's why my friend will try to reach even some people from your family a different way, and he will present himself. His name is Sasha, and he's a big producer. He won famous competition, international competition in songs, and he's also a politician, he's a member of parliament, and he will be able to give you this material mano to mano. And I want that you come, your people will come to Belgrade first, and we should make preparation for this, my testimony and my further investigation, because I want to show you a person who knows everything, who will be telling you yes. And I will also want to show with my finger the senator who has this information as well, and who also said something very, very, very bad and very wrong about his son Eric. He was speaking about his foundation, and Eric is a nice kid, and he was doing this foundation for children, and they said that he's doing benefit of this foundation, taking money for himself, and it's very bad. And exactly this senator is the person in charge, who knows everything, and I'll tell this senator, if I will be able to face him, I'll be able to tell him what I know about the case and what he knows about the case, and then I'll bring this source who will give this most important information to all gentlemen. That's why Americans, I hope we'll be able to find very soon all this thing. And besides, in this affair, that's a very famous espionage case, This Foster case is by far the most, I would say, #1 affair in history of the United States. Watergate, for example, I learned because I have all evidence from American patriots, and they know absolutely the best about everything about September 11, about other events, which was also false flag. I have a whole listing of everything, and I'm very informed. There's a lot of information. But the point of it is about 60 senators and congressmen who were caught in this fantastic routine action by CIA and NSA, when they found the secret accounts in Swiss banks with senator and congressmen. These senator and congressmen, according to my friend Ted Gallison, were blackmailed, and their money was taken away with the CIA hackers, and they brought this money. It was about $2 billion was taken from Swiss banks and brought to American Justice Department. You don't know this fact, and I know this fact. I have a listing of most of the senators, and they were blackmailed, and they are completely in the hand of NSA and the CIA, and they're blanking for it on. And the most important person in this case was Caspar Weisberger, your Secretary of State. Could you imagine Secretary of State? He has $6 million in that account, and Ms. Foster money was $2.2 million. And very sophisticated computers from Alcatel discovered that one foreign country paid him 2.2, and they found input-output of that money. And this is a proven case. And I hope that this story has to be open, and this affair, which was completely taken out on the carpet. This is a corruption affair of first kind. And also, the lobbying as a phenomenon is the worst thing that destroy America completely, because people are like hookers, selling everything to satisfy their customers, the various countries. And I tell you, from my point of view, from my source, from my part, that Mr. Trump's decision to permit, to ban diplomats and politicians 4 years after they leave the position, after they go to pension, not to be able to lobby. This is the most important thing for the future of the country, because in Serbia there is one ambassador who is still now #1, although he's not any longer. He's deciding everything. He's corrupted from here to Z. I was present 2005. I was in Montenegro. There was discussing the future of the Balkan, and there was a NATO summit. I did my participation there. I did 3 speeches, and Chief House of Lords from England was there, and all most prominent members of the embassies and NATO. 8 out of 10 people were there, and the generals and the senators were there, and this person was manipulating the conference for his own benefit. And at the end of this conference, when he was completely making people from Montenegro and from Albanians completely out of their mind, he was leaving the space. There was in a very famous place when this last event, dinner, was taking part in the Kotor, gorgeous restaurant. I was leaving, and the foreign minister of Montenegro was there, and this ambassador of the United States, and all of a sudden people are very disappointed from Montenegro and from from Kosovo, because they've been expecting a lot, and this man just turned to the foreign minister of Montenegro, and he said, "Pay me, pay me, pay me." Man was shocked. He was watching me and watching Mr. Vlahovic. He was later on ambassador of Montenegro to the United States. He was watching me and watching Mr. Ambassador, who was ambassador in that region. He said, "You American, only money, money, money." It means this person was also asking from Republika Srpska to pay $100 million to be able to get their own republic, their own state. It means corruption is so big that some people are using this position to be there, to be, well, they are very famous, to work for their own benefit. And that's why we are where we are. And this is politics in various countries, and decisions are based upon such like this ambassador. His name is Bill Montgomery. I have to know Bill from the first day that he came to Yugoslavia. I was best friend with him. He was secretary at the time. But I was so disappointed when I met him at this conference, and he was manipulating conference from all 5 days, 3 days. He was manipulating conference for his own benefit, and this is not anymore permissible. Anyway, thank you very much, gentlemen, for your attention, and I'm expecting, Mr. President, to meet with your people and to be able to explain you and to give you the secret of those how Mr. Vince Foster was killed, and how everything was done, and who will be able to testify as the #1 witness. Thank you very much, and I hope that this case will be solved. And I believe when Donald takes something in their hand, he will do that for sure. Thank you very much.